there's been some interesting things data mined from the PTR, and at this moment in time, we're just waiting for it to go live so we can actually get in and start testing some of these things and seeing what's going on. I've got a couple of things that I'm not going to spoil, but there's a couple of things that I'm going to be testing instantly and then putting together quite a, I'd say, concise video. Hopefully it's going to be concise, talking about it. And for those of you who know me, you might have a good idea what one of the things are going to be. So let me know in the comments what you think I'm talking about. But let's have a look at these data mine bits, because there's some interesting stuff, especially if you're a feral druid. So basically, they've said, coming at you from the future back to the past, something like that, because I've actually done a raid since I recorded this. There's also an update to the client. So it's actually on the Dragonflight client now. So when you go to your options, you'll notice it looks a little bit different. It's actually like the retail version. So it's actually got things like interact with target. So you can technically start playing on like a controller using the in-game keybinds and stuff like that, which is quite interesting. You'll have to have a dig around these if you haven't played retail for a while or before at all, but it is pretty much just the Dragonflight settings now. I do wonder if we're actually going to get the UI customization that you can actually do in retail as well. I would show you that, but I've not even got retail installed at the moment. But back to the past, the Wrath of the Lich King PTR has been updated to 3.4.2 with a newer build than previously, where the last one was data mined basically. I really struggled speaking there for some reason. The new build 49442 has a few interesting changes. A new currency called Sidereal Essence, with no indication what it's used for. Munching changes for warriors, mages and hunters, as well as a change to dancing room weapon for blood DKs. Is the blood DK dream going to be a thing? But if you don't know what munching is, by the way, so that's like a mage where they'll fire off a fireball and a pyroblast at the same time, and you know, sometimes they'll lose damage that goes towards that ignite, and the same goes for deep wounds for warriors, and hunters is piercing shots. So that they mentioned the last time that they announced something. I can't actually remember what they was talking about it for, but they did say that they was working on it in the background, and that hopefully it'll be part of Phase 3, which it looks like it's going to be. So the interesting thing here is currencies, and I'm really looking forward to getting on the PTR and seeing exactly what this is, because Sidereal Essence, so dungeon and raid, it's categorized as. I don't know if it's going to be like time walking in retail, some sort of way to get cosmetics or something like that, and maybe they do start regurgitating the old raids or the old dungeons, because that is actually quite popular. It's something that's pretty good, people enjoy it. Or is it going to be a specific currency for hardcore servers when they come or something? I don't know, but then again, I don't know if that would be in this, you know, in the Wrath Classic build or patch notes or whatever, and why it's specific to Phase 3. So again, if you think you know what it is, let me know in the comments, because I'd be interested to read some of those. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm just going to pick out a couple of the bits that really stick out, which are things like Glyph of Omen of Clarity, which we'll look at another thread on Wowhead in a minute, just so I can talk you through what that is. There's also some changes to Dancing Room Weapon, where it summons a second room weapon that fights on its own for 12 seconds, doing the same attacks as a Death Knight, but for 50% reduced damage. The new one is saying that it's doing 50% reduced damage and healing. So I don't know if that's like the final change or not, but whatever. Not really going to do a lot for blood DKs. You can see here the changes to Ignite, so this is just sort of recategorizing the spell, if you want to put it like that. And also, again, coming back from the future, on the PTR at the moment, I've just tried prospecting with titanium ore, because I know loads of you are interested in that. I mean, if I just show you in game, I've literally got just this character alone, I am stacked with titanium ore. In fact, I think I've got about 11,000 titanium ore across all my characters. So obviously I'm hoping that we're going to be able to prospect them like we would expect, but actually when you try to do it at the moment on the PTR, it just says there's no gems in this. I'm assuming going to change. You know, it's just something that they haven't actually implemented yet, but I would have thought there not being a great deal on the PTR, you know, as in there's no raids open, nothing like that. It's just if I run around and show you, you know, you've just got people basically setting their characters up ready for the PTR raids to actually open tomorrow. I would have thought things like this would have actually been in the build already. So I'm not going to worry just yet, but I thought I'd let you know. You can see here the new spell for Ignite. So this is just going to all aid in the munching effect, and hopefully you mages don't lose too much damage anymore. Glyph of Omen of Clarity we're going to get to. Piercing shots, as mentioned, is the same as the Ignite munching, but for marksman hunters. Then there's some weird things in here, actually, which I'm assuming these couple here, so Argent Raid, Herald, Pulse and Banana Slip, I would have thought these are something to do with the Trial of the Champion Heroic Plus mode. I would guess that that's probably something to do with the audience watching when you're, you know, fighting in Trial of the Champion throwing bananas in, and because there was something in the last patch notes where it showed that the audience gets angrier or something like that, it said. So I'm guessing that's probably to do with that. They've made some changes to the beta-empowered runes, which this is going to be Heroic++. There's something here for Explosive Trap as well, which I'm guessing this is all going to be part of dungeons somewhere along the line, rather than an actual Hunter's Explosive Trap. So your Omen of Clarity talent has a 100% chance to be triggered by successfully casting Feral Fairy Fire, and it don't trigger on players. Now, for those of you that know, obviously that is why ferals have started pumping, because that was just baked in to Feral Fairy Fire, whereas now you're having to sacrifice a glyph, which will probably be Glyph of Rip. You're probably still going to keep Shred. You're probably still going to keep Savage Roar, because that's a straight sort of 3% damage. Don't get me wrong, this is speculation. I've not done any theory crafting or even spoke to any other ferals about it, but, you know, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking you'd probably drop Rip for this, because it's probably still going to be a DPS gain, even though I personally don't really like the way it actually plays, getting a 100% proc chance on Omen of Clarity. But now you've got an actual decision to make. Do you want it or don't you? And now there's Teleport into Sunwell. And this one, I don't know why it's been changed. You know, you can see that it already existed. It's now got a 10-yard range where it didn't have a 10-yard range before. Now, I don't know if this is just something that's being tweaked, but I like when I look at this data mine info to see something that just sticks out. And that just sticks out because it's like, well, we're in Wrath of the Lich King, we're getting Trial of the Crusader. What's Sunwell got to do with anything? Why are they physically even looking at a teleport into Sunwell? Other than that, quite honestly, that's about it. I don't want to keep you any longer than I need to, because really the big ones is the Omen of Clarity change. So it's now going to be a glyph, which is quite cool. And the fact it looks like Ignite's being fixed and that Dancing Room weapon, neither here nor there. And this side reel essence is really, really interesting. And that's the one that I really can't wait to get on the PTR and actually find out exactly what it is. But if you missed this on Wowhead, I'll put a link to the actual post so you can go and read through it if you want at your own leisure, because there is a lot of information there, a lot that I've just skimmed over. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.